Welcome everyone to Jimmy and Neil Have Problems, where we talk about our problems, big problems, small problems, dumb problems. And today the problem is that we text wrong. So we've talked about this before. I don't know if this was recorded that we talked about this before, but yeah.
So I guess this one is a problem that we circle back to a lot. A pretty well connected problem, as you can see on our website, gordium.us, where you can see all of our Gordium, all of our vault. So you can
Yep.
see sort of what we work on. And this is sort of the root of a lot of
Yeah.
these communication related problems. And today, sort of, I guess our hope is to go through and see where this rabbit hole leads us as
Yeah.
we go through and reconnect and clean things up.
Yeah. I think kind of we're drifting towards we're trying to start writing some articles, and I think we're pretty hopeful that this one will turn into an interesting article someday. So we want to just kind of try to dig into it. So I think you've got a one-liner here for the problem. We use texting as a solution to too many problems. And this leads to all your texts, work, personal, group are like jumbled into one place. And I think kind of part of the inspiration of this was that I've been using this thing called Hey for email. It's a product from Basecamp, and they allow you to kind of divide up your email into things that need to be replied to later, things that you want to set aside just for reference. The paper trail, which is like receipts and just notices and stuff like that, and then the
So
feed, which is for all your newsletters. So
yeah, translating that, a little bit to us mortals who just use Gmail.
yeah,
Where Gmail splits it into your promotions and your main inbox. Hey takes that a step further, right?
yes, yeah,
And they split it into these very helpful bins.
yes, yeah, and the bins kind of help you think about how and when to address different communications. And so texting has no concept to this. I've gotten, and just messaging in general, like I think part of the problem is it's really messaging. Like I feel like I get Slack messages, I get personal texts, I get random people reaching out all on my phone in one,
Mhm.
in one notification box. And it's like, okay, so I see a Slack from my coworker plus a text from Neil plus a text from my mom. And it's like, what do I do with all that? And so,
Yeah, and
yeah,
often the response is like, that's not what I'm on my phone for right now. I'm going to clear all those notifications.
yes, yeah, yeah. And it's, Apple has you can deliver notifications bundled in one time period, which is nice, but still doesn't quite solve it. But I guess because sort of the levers we have here are, since you have everything in one place, it's very easy to make a mistake and send the wrong info to different people. So mistakes is just a lever. There's a lot of mistakes that happen. There's a lot of forgetting text. There's a lot of sending the wrong text to the wrong person, because you're context switching like crazy and there's no clear indication that you've changed contexts.
Well, and something that Jimmy and I have talked about, and but not today, where and the name of this problem alludes to it, that we just text wrong. We use it, sort
Yeah.
of, we've come to the conclusion that texting should be this time sensitive, like you need to leave a clear paper trail. So really it's for texting should be for setting up and meet meetings. It's like, hey Jimmy,
Setting up
can
meeting.
we
Yep.
meet here at this time? Yep. And then
Yep.
you can go back to it.
Or
um
updates or saying like, I'll be here at this time,
yep,
like,
yep. Or I'm running late. There's this great feature where texting, we have a whole dedicated network that allows us to text pretty much anywhere.
yeah. Yeah.
And that makes it super convenient, but we overcrowd it.
Yeah, because like for example, texting is generally a bad place for communication. Now, I will say audio messages, I've gotten a lot out of audio messages, but those are very different. That's a clearly different context. I think
Yeah.
that's clear enough that like, yeah, this is a conversation and it's a back and
Hmm.
forth versus just shooting back messages. Yeah. So I think like time, I think is a lever here. It takes a lot of time to sort through different messages and different contexts. And I
Hmm.
think that's part of why, like, for example, I don't text back very well. Or I think the alternative is, so you have people either people are bad at texting, quote unquote, or they're on their phone all the time,
Hmm.
which is, like that's the only way to reliably text people in a decent amount of time. Is just be on your phone all the time.
Hmm.
Then there's spam, which we'll get into, like talking about just people spam, like friends texting you too much, like a group chat, or increasingly companies trying to advertise to you.
Yeah.
And, two-factor authentication codes and shipping
Yep.
updates. I mean,
Yep.
everybody's using text now. But so I guess the solutions, just text short, timely, things that need a trail. That's it. No texting for like I guess I mean this is challenging because for example like I'm going to Joshua Tree this weekend and I'd love to send pictures to my family and I guess that's time short timely and
Well,
leaves a trail like right
no, I think
yeah
ideally you would communicate with your family not on some other app, right?
like what
It's
like a Marco Polo type of thing or
well, I don't know. Maybe it's and I guess, I'm guessing all your family uses iPhone.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
so then is that a disadvantage where we have phones start to messaging uh, apps start to get too big where
Yeah,
they become able where you're able to you know
yeah.
send voice messages and send all these types of messages.
So that there's kind of a media type lever which is like you can send probably too many
Hmm.
media types via texting like yeah, maybe all the photos should be done via photo sharing app. We have one of those, and
Yeah.
maybe all the voice messages should be in a voice messaging app. Well, but probably not. I mean,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
but it's like, okay, what if your family had a WhatsApp group message, and that's just for like hanging out, chatting, sharing fun updates,
Yeah.
you know and then texting is just you know how much would the world be maimed if we got rid of the ability to do group chats in texting, like MMSs and um
No, no, I feel like some people really get a lot out of it. Like my fiance's family, like it's hilarious, their group chat. And it's not intrusive. It's a pretty, sane
yeah,
amount.
well, I think that's fair, but what if we push that to its own app, right? Have WhatsApp be that, right? WhatsApp can be these smaller group chats, and then group me for bigger group chats,
Yeah.
and you have volley for um have volley for you know more natural small group communication, you know whether that's on one or 1 to 3, um and you have texting for this time sensitive thing, that we sort of talked about.
Yeah, yeah. I think like that's an interesting approach is dividing communication types by app. Kind of similar to multiple phones, like okay, work only has work stuff,
Hmm.
personal phone only has personal stuff. Um,
I wonder, like, computers can now do, multiple desktops, and have been able to do that for a long time. What if you had, multiple
Ooh,
desktops for your phone,
yeah, that's a great idea.
where, you're at work, so you just switch to your work desktop on your phone. And, then you don't have, your Instagram there, and you don't have, and then what if that allowed you to have multiple phone numbers, um, where you're on, this work, you're on your work desktop, so your work phone number is there, and then you go to your personal desktop, and I say that with, air quotes around it. Um,
Yeah.
so then you're not getting your texts from, your family, just, sending, just fun things that, are distracting to you at work.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that's a really great idea. So multiple desktops, we've got, oh, we're running up on time here. Multiple phones, app that mimics Hey. So basically let's have like messages categorize your things that are sent. That's really hard, I think, for texting. I
Mhm,
think it's much easier on email. Um, because email's so obvious. There's a lot you can do to learn who has what email address versus, phone
mhm,
numbers is a lot more inconsistent, and they don't have as much semantic meaning embedded in them. Um, I think smart reminders would be interesting. I think part of the problem with all of this is that you don't really have an idea of, and you said Google or Android has this a little bit. It'll say, "Hey, this was sent, 3 days ago. Do you want to follow up?"
yep.
There's a problem there. I remember we talked about it, and we
Mhm,
have that. Um, I think allowing you to move texts around by timing and priority would be interesting. I mean, just that one
mm,
feature being to slide a conversation up or down based on priority would be helpful. And
yeah.
Apple has the pinning idea. You can pin a conversation to the top, but
Mhm,
it'd be easier. It'd be fun to do that more dynamically. Um, yeah, I think like being able to reply faster, like batching. I think
mhm.
really that's a solution is like batch texting. And there's an app that lets you do that. Um, and I have a couple things I want to link, but we don't quite have time for me to dig around with them. Um, yeah, I think we'll have to dive into a quick rating. So we rate each problem and the solution on motivation, speed to failure, how quickly we can break this idea down, and impact. So what do you think on motivation for this one?
Um, that depends on the solution. I think some solutions I'm quite motivated for.
Well,
A
just like
two.
let's take the highest. Is it the two? Okay, I think I'm only a one. I don't know. I just feel like I don't text enough to
I feel
to
like
care.
a texting manifesto would be a lot of fun to write.
I think it would be a blast. Yeah. Speed to failure.
I give a one.
I agree. I agree. I think depends on the idea. Uh, impact.
Oh, I give a one.
I agree. I think this is like, meh. I mean, it's cool, but I think this
I give,
stays as a studio category.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thank you folks for joining us. We hope you're going to text less wrongly in the future. If
Well,
you have ideas about how to text
and,
correctly,
and if there's
so
ever a problem, for us to encourage you to look at our website, I'd say this one is
yeah.
one of those, because it's just
So
deeply connected. And check out what we've got for written for this one, and all the connected ideas as well.
yeah, so you'll just do gordium.us, gordium.us, and you'll just have a search bar and you can throw in we text wrong. It should pop right up. So thank you so much for joining us, folks, and have a good